Yeah, hardly the star. Anyway, we're here to talk about you. So, first off, I know that you are a long-time St. Albert resident.
Yeah.
Were you born here?
I was born here actually at the Sturgeon General Hospital up in the hill, the old hospital that's now a seniors complex. My family didn't live in town then, we lived in Legal, but I moved here when I was in grade 1/2. So I've spent the vast majority of my life here, that's for sure, and certainly glad that I did.
And so tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was your favorite childhood memory?
Well, Christmas was always a big one for kids.
Yeah.
For me though, when I think back at St. Albert and growing up here, the best thing is always being around with your friends, going around the neighborhood, seeing the trees, seeing all the nice things that we have here in town. I remember just down here, not too far from where we live now, playing in a frog pond and catching all sorts of frogs. It's where the Canadian Tire parking lot is now. And we used to do that quite a bit, bike riding around this whole neighborhood, before we had trails, playing in the playgrounds, just making use of all the amenities we had here, all the trees, all the grass, and of course all the wonderful people. And I always think back very fondly of growing up here, and I'm glad that my daughter has the opportunity that I did.
So for you, the small town feel is just something you really relish?
There's something special about St. Albert. We're not a big city, but we're not a small town. We're something in between. Your neighbors are always friendly and they're there and they're going to help you out, but they don't know which movie you rented from the video store. And so you've got a little bit of personal distance, but everyone's here to help out. And it's just such a nice feeling to be in a town like that. I think so, anyway.
Now, if someone was to say, who is Cam McKay? And I'm asking you that question. How would you respond?
Well, this is always a tough one for me because I'm somewhat humble, and I guess I always like asking people more about themselves than I do about me. I guess, if you ask who I am, I'm your average guy that grew up here, that loves this town, loves this country, and loves this province, and I love my family. At the end of the day, I think what says most about me is my daughter Kelsey and my wife Lisa. Like I said, I grew up here, I ran a business here, I went to school here, and I guess about me, I'm your average guy that would like to do his best for the community.
And so now you want to run for council?
Yeah, wasn't that a surprise?
Yeah. So what exactly inspired that? What was that moment that made you kind of go, okay, I need to do something here, I can make a difference?
Not one single moment, but a series of many of them. Probably when my mom moved away from St. Albert, that was something that really made me think. She had been here a long time, and I had spent a lot of time with her, and she was leaving to go be in Saskatoon. Part of that, the reason that came about was that the cost of living here had increased so much. And I'd never really thought about that until it came home. But that's, an issue a lot of people face here, and that really made me think. I've looked at a lot of the things that have occurred in the last little while in regards to land use planning, and just get the feeling that we can do a little bit better. And that's when I decided, I can do a little bit better, and I'll step up to the plate, because if you feel you can do better and you can improve your community, you have an obligation to do that. And that's how it always felt.
And do you have political aspirations beyond council?
No. I would just like to get on council and serve the people of St. Albert.
Dad, I've got to ask you this. I haven't been here myself all that long.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out, what is St. Albert's identity? Do you feel St. Albert has an identity? And if so, how would you describe that?
It's a very good question, and it takes you a long time to figure that out. Because there's something different about St. Albert from all the towns around here. And you can't put your finger on it, but when you go to a neighborhood in Edmonton or Fort Saskatchewan or Spruce Grove, there is some little difference. And I've thought about this a lot. You walk around the neighborhoods, all the lawns are well cared for. All the people are nice and friendly. And it's that personal pride and satisfaction that people exemplify in how they display their home, how they display themselves, and how they act. So there is a big difference. Not that we're any better than anyone else, but we are different, that's for sure. We have a unique identity in this area. If you're talking about planning and how the city evolved, I guess the biggest difference would be trees. You know, that's a big thing for me about St. Albert. I ran into a gentleman at Staples the other day. His name's John Beadle. Some of you may recognize that name. There's a few things named after him in town here. And he was the planner that really decided we're going to make St. Albert the absolute best place to live. And we're going to do that by integrating nature and society in an excellent manner. And all the trees and all the ravines that we see here today are a large part of him. And that says a lot about St. Albert.
We certainly owe him a lot then.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time down by the Red Willow Park and the ravines.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic. Now, what makes you think that St. Albert is in first place? Because you do mention that somewhere in your writings that you really feel St. Albert is first in place. What is it that makes it first?
Well, you know, we've all been to a lot of places, we've all traveled to a lot of places, and we're always happy to come home. And then the question is why? You know, for me, it's the people that are here that make up the community that really make it worthwhile coming home to. And, you know, a number of things. You know, it goes back to the earlier question. The town is absolutely beautiful. Every crescent is absolutely beautiful, and so are the people in it. And, you know, that certainly for me is why it's in first place, and I wouldn't think of living anywhere else.
So how would you ensure that St. Albert stays in first place in the future?
Well, we certainly do face a lot of challenges. And, you know, we need a lot of smart decisions to happen like we had over the past 50 years. I think we've got to remember where we came from and respect the history that brought St. Albert to where it is today. You know, in the decisions that we make. Incremental change is basically what's made St. Albert what it is today. Little things that we build upon and improve on, nothing dramatic, but we build on a solid base and we go forward. So, you know, just wise management. Don't try anything too radical, because we've already got something good here. And you know, stay the course.
Now you say wise management. I gather you mean council and mayor and all of that. Do you feel that St. Albert residents have been given an opportunity to speak up and be heard? Do you feel they have a voice?
Well, they absolutely have a voice, but I certainly think we can do better in hearing it. That's one of the things we always used to do really well in St. Albert is listen to what people want and make sure that the government reflects that. There's a lot of decisions that can be best made by the individual or the family at home rather than the city. And if you bear that in mind, you're always going to have the best decision made if City Hall isn't making it and you're the person at home that's making it or a community group is making it. So I think a lot of times we overstep our reach at the city, and we've got to respect the fact that we have a lot of smart, bright people here that can make their own decisions and can build a community. And let's let them do it.
So if I had an idea or a concern, how would I be able to bring that to council and voice that?
Good question. Well, you can always show up in the gallery and put forward your idea, or you can call one of your elected representatives and put forward it that way. The other thing you can do is do it on your own. You know, go to a community group. You have an idea, find other people that want to share the same belief as you and work towards that goal. I think you know, you'll find that that's really what builds a community, is people coming together with an idea and achieving it, with or without City Hall.
Now I have to ask as well, why is there such resentment towards DARP?
Well,
a lot of rumblings, and I'd like to know.
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
It's a big cultural shift for a town, for St. Albert. You know, a lot of people have lived here for many years, and we always had the idea that we're a small town, we're a bedroom community of St. Albert. And that's changing. Whether that's going to be good or bad is up for debate. I always think that it's best to have those kind of big decisions made by the people that live there here, rather than just a few city planners and 6 or 7 politicians at City Hall. We should be asking everybody what they think, because there's going to be a multitude of opinions on this matter. People that have lived here for a long time may have a different opinion than people that just moved here, but everyone's opinion is valid. And it's certainly a big change. And you never want to make big changes until you've got everybody to buy into that.
So how do you feel it could be implemented? Because it looks like it will be going ahead.
Good question. You know, I mean, we don't really have any implementation plan. We've just said we're going to develop a plan down the road. You know, I don't have a really good answer to that. It's a 20-year project with a lot of costs and a lot of changes, and we don't know where we're going to find the money. We don't know how we're going to implement it, and you know, we don't have any private sector developers that have come aboard to say they'll do it. So it's really up in the air now. The best thing we can do to implement this is actually talk to the people that live here and find out what they want to do. And that's something that I don't feel we've adequately done to date. And if we do want to go forward and implement that seems to be something we should do right away.
So here is the opportunity for St. Albert to speak up now, and say something before something goes ahead that you're not happy with. Yeah. So how do you feel that St. Albert will benefit from DART?
Well, you know, it's certainly a big vision. You know, we've got promises of economic growth, a whole bunch of new people here, a bunch of civic places. You know, certainly all the civic buildings downtown will be made of use by the public. If it works and business does come down there, certainly there'll be a benefit. We'll have a great downtown to shop in. But you know, I also want to point out we have a great downtown right now. We've got a great city to live in, and we'll see, I guess.
Do you think there might be a little bit more of a hustle and bustle